Hello, everyone. This is my first folklore story. 90% of the story is true, 10% is false. I'll let you decide. So sit back and enjoy this short 8-minute story. I attended college at Indiana University in Bloomington, Indiana. One spring day, I left my parents' home in Indianapolis and began driving back to college, which is about an hour away from my home. Instead of taking the popular way of State Road 37, now Interstate 69, I elected to take the back road of State Road 67 and then pick up 37 in Martinsville. And that's a mistake that I regret. Dumb teenager. About halfway to Bloomington, it began to rain. The downpour was so blinding that I had to slow down to 20 miles an hour. Driving through the rolling hills of Indiana, I noticed a puddle at the bottom of the hill on the road that I was traveling. I drove through the puddle, thinking it was not that deep, but once I hit it, I knew I was in trouble. The car immediately began to stall, so I pulled over, and the car died. Dumb teenager. I waited in the car, hoping to see a passing vehicle, but after waiting 30 minutes, I saw no other car drive by. So I made a decision to get out and walk. I had some old plastic grocery bags in the car, so I wrapped them around each shoe, another on top of my head, and one around each hand. You may ask yourself, why don't you just use your cell phone? Well, at that time, as a college student, I was too broke and poor to have a cell phone. After walking, which seemed forever, I noticed a faint light ahead. I began walking toward the light. As I got closer, I could make out the outline of a porch, then I could see the house. I walked on the porch and used the door knocker that's on the door. After knocking several times and waiting for about a minute, no one answered. So I turned away from the door and began to walk away. Before I could step off the porch, the door opens and a man about 6 feet tall, wearing blue overalls, with long gray hair, long gray beard, with wrinkles all over his face, appears. "How can I help you?" he asked. I told him my car broke down a couple of miles down the road and could I use his phone to call for help. He said, if I had a phone, you could use it. He mentioned that a mechanic is nearby but won't be open until tomorrow morning. He told me I'm more than welcome to stay. For a moment I hesitated, but then I thought I could easily kick his ass if he tested me. Plus, at that time I was a wrestler. I wasn't afraid of nothing. But the biggest reason I stayed was due to the fact I was a dumb teenager. So the man took me to my room and told me that he only has one rule, and that is don't go in the basement. I was like, bet, I'm black, I'm not doing that. So I was laying in the bed for about an hour and I could not sleep. I was tossing and turning because all I could think about what was in that basement. Dumb teenager. I got up from the bed and slowly started walking to the basement door. I then began to walk down 15 steps before getting to the bottom of the basement. Immediately, I noticed the air was damp and smelled like mildew. I also noticed there was another door. I opened it, and instantly a musty smell hit me in the face. I walked past the door, down a hallway about 10 feet long, and noticed what appeared to be a massive cage. There was a latch on the gate of the cage. I opened it, and I walked in. Dumb teenager. I looked around, and I noticed in the corner, which appeared to be a large, hairy man hunched over with his back facing me. At that point, I started to get nervous. So I slowly started to back away. As I was backing up, I stepped on a chicken bone on the floor, and it made a loud cracking sound. The creature jumped up and turned to look at me, and all I saw was red eyes. The creature jumped up and stood about 7 feet tall. My instinct kicked in, and I started running and running. I shut the gate on the cage and kept running. The creature just ripped the gate off and was chasing me. I get to the next door and slammed it while I'm running. The creature ran right through the door and kept coming. I ran up the steps and shut the basement door and ran straight to the front door, shut it, and then ran off the porch toward the street. The creature bust through the front door and came chasing right after me. I ran across the street into a cornfield. Once I got pretty deep in the cornfield, I squatted down and tried to hide. I could hear the creature running all around me, panting like a dog. I got so nervous that it could possibly find me. I panicked and started running, and the creature began chasing after me. In the middle of the cornfield was a lake. Being a great swimmer, I dove into the lake and swam toward the middle. The creature stood on the bank of the lake and didn't jump in. I swam across the lake, got out of the water, and didn't see the creature. I ran all the way back to my car, locked all the doors, and laid down in the driver's seat so no one could see me. After about 20 minutes of lying there, I heard a thump on the car. I looked up at the windshield and saw the red eyes of the creature looking at me. I jumped and stuck the keys in the ignition and prayed the car would start. I pumped the gas 3 times, turned the key, and the car started. I peeled out, spinning my tires, and the creature jumped off the car. I made it back to college, walked into my dorm room, obviously still shaking. My roommate asked me, "What happened to you?" I told him the story, and all he could say is, "You are a dumb teenager." Thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe, and remember to always be you.